La souveraineté alimentaire est le fondement de toute dignité.
It didn't start with a famine or a protest. It started with a quiet refusal to ever beg for food again. In the heart of West Africa, a transformation is taking root, far from the headlines. Burkina Faso, the land of the upright people, is standing up in a way the world has rarely seen. The country is breaking a cycle of dependency that has defined its relationship with the West for decades. Imagine the Sahel, a vast, semi-arid land where the sun is relentless and the rains unpredictable. For generations, Burkinabe have tilled this earth, dictated by the climate's whims. They have known hardship and hunger, but now they reject the narrative of helplessness. No longer will their children's next meal arrive in a sack stamped with a foreign flag. This is a revolution not of guns, but of grain, a declaration that true sovereignty is agricultural. The shift is visible in the determined farmer clearing new land, in the youth attending agricultural training, seeing a future in their own soil. This is a story of reclaimed pride, a nation deciding its destiny will be cultivated by its own hands. Burkina Faso is not performing for an audience, it is working for its own survival on its own terms. This quiet refusal is the foundation of a new national identity. President Ibrahim Traoré and his government have a radical vision. Burkina Faso will feed itself. No more passive charity, only active, homegrown food security. The strength of a nation is measured not by the aid it receives, but by the food it can grow. And so, the work begins, not with a plea for help, but with a promise to themselves. For decades, food in Burkina Faso arrived in white sacks from the West. This was the architecture of aid after droughts or poor harvests. The international community stepped in. The World Food Programme, USAID, and European NGOs became familiar presences, saving lives but creating dependency. Free or subsidized grain flooded the country, undercutting local farmers and discouraging production. Farming became seen as a high-risk, low-reward struggle. The act of receiving aid subtly eroded self-sufficiency and pride. Political leaders' speeches often became appeals for more assistance. The national budget always relied on a significant piece marked foreign aid. The less the country invested in its own agriculture, the more it needed aid, a self-perpetuating cycle. Food aid also served geopolitical interests, creating leverage for donor nations. The food provided was often what was available in the West, not what was best for local diets. This changed consumption habits, increasing demand for foreign products over resilient local grains. Burkina Faso was caught in a web woven with good intentions, but reinforced by global economic realities. Breaking free would require more than a good harvest. It would require a complete paradigm shift. That shift is now underway. In response, President Traoré's government unveiled a bold plan, a $981 million strategy for national food sovereignty. The most startling detail, it's funded entirely by Burkina Faso. No World Bank loans, no Western grants, no begging bowl. The Agri-Food Offensive 2023-2025 is a radical departure from development norms. Funds are marshaled from the state budget, state-owned enterprises, and private domestic investment. The burden of success falls squarely on Burkinabe's shoulders. No foreign safety net. This approach shifts the power dynamic. No donor conditions, no external oversight. Burkina Faso sets its own priorities and measures of success. This is sovereignty in action, the freedom to chart one's own course. The message is clear. Burkina Faso is taking charge of its destiny. The $981 million is more than a number, it's a symbol of national commitment. It's a collective decision to invest in land and people. The country's most valuable resource isn't gold or cotton, but its ability to feed itself. This blueprint is not just agricultural policy. It's the economic expression of that quiet refusal to ever beg for food again. The future is being built from the ground up. The $981 million plan is being translated into real assets across Burkina Faso. Water is the first priority, new dams, rehabilitated old ones, and thousands of boreholes to enable year-round cultivation. Next, modern tools, affordable mechanization like rototillers and threshers, plus processing equipment to add value locally. Land reform is critical, clarifying land rights and opening new arable land, especially for youth. Secure land means farmers can invest for the future. The plan invests in people agricultural training centers, and extension agents teach modern techniques and drought-resistant seeds. Special focus is on youth, framing agriculture as a scientific entrepreneurial venture. It's a holistic approach, hardware and human capital together. A food revolution needs both. Today, the Burkinabe farmer is being recast as a national hero. No longer at the bottom of the social ladder, farmers are now frontline soldiers in the war for food sovereignty. President Traoré calls this the battle for production, and farmers are valiant combatants for economic liberation. Farmers receive priority access to resources, seeds, equipment, training. This reverses the old system, where resources rarely reached villages. Treating farmers as frontline soldiers signals their mission is of the highest national importance. Their success is the nation's success. This shift instills pride and dignity in rural communities long neglected by urban centers. Farmers now see themselves as key economic actors and patriots. This mindset change is as crucial as any dam or tractor. The agricultural revolution is also a national security strategy. Economic opportunity counters extremism. Every new farm is a bastion against instability. The farmer is not just feeding the nation, they're defending it. Burkina Faso's bold agricultural strategy has been met with silence from many Western capitals and major media outlets. The story challenges the established order, a developing nation taking initiative, rejecting aid, and betting on itself. This disrupts the donor-recipient relationship and the flow of power. Burkina Faso's pivot away from France and the West and toward new partners makes it less sympathetic in Western eyes. Successes are ignored or framed as reckless, waiting for failure. The international media, often echoing Western policy, overlooks this remarkable story. Africa Uprising is celebrated when it fits Western narratives, but a state-led agricultural revolution rooted in self-reliance is less comfortable. One of Africa's most significant development stories continues to unfold in the shadows. While the West looks away, Africa is watching. Burkina Faso's challenges, climate change, food insecurity, youth unemployment, are shared across the continent. The question: if Burkina Faso can do this, why can't we? The Burkinabe model's appeal lies in its emphasis on sovereignty and self-funding. It challenges decades of externally imposed policies and debt-driven development. Leaders in Mali and Niger are watching closely. There is skepticism. Not every nation has the resources or political will for such a gamble. But the conversation has changed. Self-sufficiency is now on the agenda. Burkina Faso's experiment is sparking debate and new ideas about breaking cycles of dependency. It's a powerful demonstration that an alternative path is possible. The food sovereignty plan is more than filling stomachs, it's an engine for rural transformation. Job creation is immediate. Building dams, clearing land, and farming all require hands. Young people find stable incomes and reasons to stay in their communities. New markets and value chains are emerging: suppliers, mechanics, transport, and rural entrepreneurs. Processing equipment creates local businesses and keeps value in the community. Economic revitalization strengthens rural stability and counters the roots of conflict. Prosperous, food-secure communities are less vulnerable to extremism. The long-term vision transformed Burkina Faso from food importer to self-sufficient nation, even a regional exporter. Savings on imports can be reinvested in health and education. This is how a nation builds resilience against drought and global shocks. Burkina Faso is forging new alliances, turning to partners who support state-led development. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, offer models of agricultural transformation and technical expertise. China brings water management, India brings extension programs, Brazil brings tropical agriculture know-how. These partnerships are about mutual respect, not new dependency. Cuba, with its expertise in resilient, low-input farming, is a key partner for sustainable agriculture. Cuban agronomists offer knowledge in biopesticides, composting, and urban farming, skills Burkina Faso needs. The most important innovations, though, will be African-led. The African Continental Free Trade Area opens regional food markets and knowledge sharing. Drought-resistant crops from Nigeria, water harvesting from Kenya, solutions are being shared across Africa. Burkina Faso's journey inspires confidence that Africa's answers can be found within. Burkina Faso's food revolution is a story of reclamation of land, economy, and pride. The journey is far from over, challenges remain, but the quiet refusal that began this movement has become a chorus of determined action. The transformation is measured not just in grain, but in the aspirations of a new generation. Young engineers design irrigation at home, women lead cooperatives, children eat food grown nearby. This is the tangible harvest of sovereignty. The world often sees Africa through a lens of need, missing the capable hands ready to work. Burkina Faso challenges us to look again beyond crisis and charity. The most powerful aid is the investment a nation makes in itself. True freedom is not a gift, but a right earned and defended, season after season. The world may not be listening, but the fields of Burkina Faso are speaking. Burkina Faso is no longer waiting for aid. It's feeding itself, with pride, purpose, and power. This is Insight Africa, where the continent speaks for itself.